Viva Day Youth, viva! Viva! Phambili bantu abasha phambili. Phambili DA Eastern Cape Youth phambili. Guys, it's very great to be here. Thank you so much for coming. As a Shilu Baba, the Eastern Cape is very much a big part of my heart because I spent 4 very important years of my life, Lana, and I really like Eastern Cape, and I'll tell you why. Eastern Cape Youth, despite the fact that you have some of the worst education in this country, I get to there are people that are unemployed in the Eastern Cape, Habasha. We all know that there are people that are dropping out of school because we all know of young people who are sitting and don't know what opportunities they have anymore that they can take advantage of. We have young people that are willing to work in the Eastern Cape, but ayikho imisebenzi. For all ma, we know there are people that are selling imizi RDP in our communities, correct? We know that the ANC government is giving jobs just to their friends. We know that there is now a hierarchy in South Africa where, unlike Kala, when it was abantu abamhlophe becindezela abantu abamnyama, now it's about people that are special getting things that the rest of us should be actually accessing as abantu nathi abamnyama ade bengaphansi kwaleyo cindezela ngithi. But still, even despite all those problems, every time I come to the Eastern Cape, the spirit that I see in the young people here is a fighting spirit. And I am telling you now that for the DA at least, the province that is going to help us with next year's election are the youth in the Eastern Cape. Because you guys fight. No matter what the government has been doing in this province, you guys have been fighting tooth and nail. You are aware of what they are doing, and you are not going to allow it to continue any longer. And as you saw in 2011, you nearly took Port Elizabeth as a metro. And I'm very confident that in next year's elections, the youth of the Eastern Cape are going to be the force that is going to drive the DA into being able to nearly, really take this province. Or at the very least, we are going to do far better in the Eastern Cape than the ANC is expecting. And I'm excited, guys. Are you excited? I'm so excited to see the faces of the people that think that they can continue to take advantage of young people. Continue to allow, like we sing Walter Sisulu, to close universities and have young people not be able to study for 7 weeks. Where we have young people in Grahamstown who have no access to water for weeks because the whole menu is taking imali. Those are the injustices that we are seeing happening to the youth of the Eastern Cape. And if we want to stop that from being something that is going to continue, then as young people, we need to be standing up. It is about time that we get a little more angry as young people. We need to really start showing our government that if they are going to mess with 70% of the population and make sure that half that population is not working, we are going to make it very uncomfortable for them. We are going to make sure that they feel our anger as young people and that they feel what we are going to do to them. But unlike other ill-disciplined young people, we are not going to go stabbing people in the streets. Ngeke size nabo and hurt other human beings. We are going to fight them at the ballot box. And we are going to fight them in our communities when they try to intimidate us. We are going to fight them on our campuses when they try to hurt our young students that are standing there for the Democratic Alliance. And we are going to show them that no matter how long it takes, the tide has already turned in the Eastern Cape. We are now just waiting for the DA to get enough momentum to win. But it has turned and that's G. We are not looking back, and they must know that going towards next year's elections. That is why we're on this road trip. We need young people to be excited about the DA. We need young people to believe that the DA cares about them because we do. And more importantly, we need to recruit those young people to be a part of the people that are going to be going forward with us. Because very soon we are going to get to a situation in this country where young people are going to have to start taking on positions of power. And we cannot do that if Nati as young people we have not prepared ourselves. So we must use the opportunity of the upcoming election to make sure that we are ready. To make sure, as Yusuf was talking about, that we know DA Youth, what is it doing for young people. So that when we speak to other young people, we can say, I'm in the DA because part of the DA Youth plans are to create employment for young people. We have skills and work programs that we have for the same people that are sitting at home with no matric and they don't know what to do. And we say as DA Youth, we know you are not lazy. We know what's in the zandla. And if you are willing to use your hands and work hard, we will give you that opportunity. We say to them, we know that there are students in our communities that are matriculating, that don't know how they're going to pay for university or colleges. All right? Am I right? And as a DA Youth, we say to them, we have bursaries that we can help you with. We have NSFAS so that you can go to university or to an FET college or wherever you want to go. We want to help you in your community be able to access that, because as a DA Youth, we don't believe that just because your family doesn't have money, you must now not be able to get a further education. We want every young South African to be as educated as they possibly can be so that they can work for South Africa and make sure that our country is growing. That is our role as young people. We have programs where we say to young people, we understand sometimes, Wuti, because there's nothing to do, people might resort to crime and people might resort to drugs. And that is something that is hurting our young people. So we have something called the Chrysalis program that we make sure that young people, we are training them and giving them skills, some of the CV interview skills that have been spoken about here, skills that they can practically use out in their communities to help themselves, most importantly, but also to help their communities. Because until our government is actually creating an atmosphere where we can have jobs, even if we are the opposition, we can still help people in our communities. And if we do that now, guys, then people will see that if we can do it while we are in opposition, we will do so much more when we are in government, like we do in the Western Cape, where we have thousands and thousands and thousands of young people that we are getting into jobs every single day. And that is why so many young people, even from the Eastern Cape, are now going to the Western Cape. Because where the DA governs, you never hear a story about corruption. You never hear a story about a politician that's driving a car so fancy while people are starving at night. You never hear about the DA wasting money going overseas for things that we don't understand actually help our country. You don't hear those things because they don't happen. And it is important that we start saying to young people, if they want a party that is going to work for them, they need to vote for a party that has that track record. And in South Africa, there is only one party that has done that, and that is the Democratic Alliance. And when you guys are sitting in this room, you need to be proud of the party that you represent, because it is the only party that is working for young people. We want young people to be having jobs. We want young people to be in school. We want young people to have opportunities to do things that they have never been able to do before, and to do things that even nani you are afraid the DA wants to give that opportunity to you. So that is our message going forward towards next year's election. That if young people are prepared to join us, this is what we can bring to them. Are you guys with me? That if young people are prepared to stand with the DA and register to vote and be on the streets with us, getting other people to register to vote for the DA, we can bring those jobs here. We can bring that education here. We can bring that good governance that works for you as our citizens rather than works for us as politicians. Because for far too long in South Africa, we have had a situation where we see abantu getting rich, but we remain in the same place. And for as long as we are not prepared to take a stand now as young people in this very important election, then by the time I come back here next time, or if Yusuf or Kevin comes back here next time, we are still all going to be sitting in the same situation. And is that what we want, guys? In 5 years' time, do we still want to be saying that we know people that are unemployed, people that have no education, people that can't do anything better because they have nowhere to go? We cannot allow that. And I'm being very serious now because I want you to understand how very important, that as young people going forward now, we make sure that that is what we are going to be doing to add to the party's success. That is how we are going to be canvassing to ensure our own success. Don't do it for the DA, and don't do it for me, and don't do it for your councillor. Do it for yourselves. Because if we cannot have a credible party that can stand up to the ANC now, then we are going to go into a very bad situation in this country. And that means that we are all going to suffer. And I want it to be very clear that when we talk about the ANC because they're in government, it's not because we hate the ANC as an organization. But what we do realize is that there are leaders in the ANC that are no longer the kinds of leaders that the ANC used to have. And we are allowed to be disappointed by that. We are allowed as young South Africans. I started school in 1994, and I was told that if I worked very hard and did all the right things, I would be able to get a job, I'd be able to go to university, I'd be able to become rich. All of us, every single parent tells their child that. And that is what the ANC government told us. And we knew it wasn't going to be easy for the government to do everything. But we are too rapidly seeing with the ANC, even despite the organization it was, it no longer is that organization under the leaders that it has. And those leaders no longer care about youth. There is no way you can tell me that our president cares when we find out that people have spent 100 million in NYDA on festivals where they were all just kissing each other and having a party. You cannot tell me that that is a government that cares when, as I said, we have students that have not gone to lectures for 7 weeks. How must they find jobs now? Students who have not had water, a basic right, because our government doesn't care about them. Young people who, some of them have to depend on things like grants. Or a situation where we have young people who are unable to have textbooks for 2 years, basic education textbooks. What is that government saying about how it actually feels about young people? But to me it seems like our government no longer cares. Are you guys of that belief, or do you not believe that? They don't care about us. They are not doing anything to make sure that our futures are secured. And we believed in them, and now they have disappointed us. And we must not be afraid to say that we will believe in another party that is going to achieve for us. That is a simple message that we need to be taking in next year's elections. So when the EFF and Ahang and the ANC Youth League come here with their stories, you need to be very sure, as the young people in the Democratic Alliance, that you can be proud to say that you are supporting a party that is taking you forward and is making sure that you are going to have a future in this country. Because without the DA doing anything, the ANC has shown that it no longer cares about young people. And until they can show that they do, we are going to support people that we have been seeing to be working for young people. So I hope that you guys understand the big task we have as young people in the DA to go outside and vote no against corruption, vote no against all these scandals we're seeing, all 289 million houses in Ghana, vote no against people that are not giving us proper education, not allowing us to be able to access jobs. But more importantly, we have to get abanye abantu abasha, other young people, to vote the same way as us. So if you are not able to convince your class, or your street, or your family, or your neighbors yet, then the challenge for you from now until next year is to make sure that everybody you know understands what is at stake for young people. Because next year's election is going to be about Jacob Zuma or EDA. Jacob Zuma or EDA. Or Jacob Zuma or? And young people must understand that we cannot afford another 5 years ngaphansi kwaZulu. Never mind the ANC, we cannot afford another 5 years under Jacob Zuma. He has shown that he is incapable of leading for young people especially. And we must show as young people in South Africa that we are capable of taking him out. And that is our mission as a DA Youth next year. that we are taking Jacob Zuma out of office. And we are putting in people that are going to deliver for a youth and as well as South African youth. Are you guys with me? Yeah. Viva dear youth, viva! Viva! Phambili dear youth, phambili! Phambili!